Hi everyone, I'm Katie and I'm just a hippie kindness rocker that likes sharing my tutorials with anyone that might need some help. Peace, y'all! Hello my friends, I am back today with the Lighthouse tutorial, and I'm starting out on a shadow stone, and I gessoed the center of the stone, so I'm doing a little frame. And I have several different colors in Liquitex Basics. I started out with, I have black and white, dioxizine purple, light blue violet, and cerulean blue. And what I've done is I mixed up a little bit of the cerulean blue, the light blue violet. Now I'm adding a little bit of dioxazine purple into it, and I'm just gonna keep mixing colors, and I'm looking for this smoky blue lavenderish looking kind of sky, and I'm just gonna kind of keep going back with colors until I get it where I want it. So I'm using a filbert brush to do this, and I find that it works really well, especially on a smaller stone when you're doing a background like this. And I'm just going to kind of keep blending through and adding white, and I'm going to add the light blue violet, and I'm just going to keep going back and forth until I get a color that I like. So now I'm starting on the water, and I'm using just straight cerulean blue to start with. And I do add a little bit of water to my brush. This Liquitex Basics is a little bit thicker than your regular craft paint, so you do have to add a little water from time to time to help it glide. And so I'm basically just starting with my first layer and getting the whole background covered. And now I go back with the other color on the top, and I start trying to blend that middle part. Now you don't have to have the middle part perfect, because that's where our tree line is going to be. But right now I'm just trying to get some kind of a blend and then let it dry. So you don't have to stress too much about that center part. Now I'm going to add a little bit more purple and white. I'm trying to make it just a little more of a lavender color, and I'm lightening up that center part. Plus, the cool thing about doing this route is it makes the sky look really cool and have different tones in it when you mix up different colors like this. And I don't rinse my brush or anything, so you're getting different tones in the sky without going back and using all these separate colors. So that's pretty cool about that. So I added some white into my cerulean blue, and I'm just going through and adding some, I guess you could say, water movement. It's not really waves, because I want the water to kind of look still, but have some different tones in it. So I'm just going to go back and forth and do different colors. I'm going to add a little bit lighter, then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some dark, and I'm just going to keep going back and forth until I get it where I like it. This is where I'm adding just a little bit of dark, and I'm going to make 2 rows of the dark, because I'm doing like some water down below the lighthouse. So I hope everybody's doing good. It's Wednesday today when I'm recording this, and it's really hot. I live here in Texas, and the heat is just unbearable. But you know, this year the humidity has been worse than it's ever been, and it's just almost impossible to be able to stand being outside and being able to breathe. It feels like you just can't breathe very well. So I took a little bit of black, and I really did that because I wanted there to be a little bit of dark undertone. I'm going to eventually go over the top of it with a watered down blue. I'm just going to use the color that I already have blended out, but I'm going to use a little bit of extra water with it and make kind of like a glaze. And so I'm going to end up going over that black, so it's not going to be bright black. You can see already the difference that I was covering up that little bit of tone. Now I'm going to put a line in the middle because I wanted to show that, you know, that's where I'm going to stop as far as the sky goes. That line's not going to show a whole lot. So now I paused and I kind of sketched in a lighthouse. It's a real kind of generic sketch. You don't have to be perfect, you know, this is art and it doesn't need to be perfect. So I just kind of sketched in what I thought looked like a lighthouse, sorry. And now I'm putting some gesso in it, and that's going to help the other colors show up on those darker colors. Now I did let the background dry really well before I started this lighthouse, because if you're going to sketch on it, you want to make sure it's pretty dry. And I did put a couple of coats of gesso. The one I'm using is by Liquitex. And I'm just kind of forming out the lighthouse a little more, doing a little more with the color. I tend to do that. I'll kind of sketch in with a pencil, but then I take my color and that's how I kind of shape. So I'm using a really scruffy brush and some Hooker's green that I'm mixing some Mars black in with, because I'm going to start the bushes and I want there to be different tones, so I'm starting with the darker tone first. And you just take that brush and just dab it along. That brush is all scraggly, so it makes it look like trees and bushes and everything very easily. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth until I get a nice tree line. Now I'm taking some white mixed with the Hooker's green, and then I'm taking some yellow and mixing with it, and then some burnt sienna. Now the burnt sienna is by Americana, decoart Americana, and I wanted that to be a little bit different green for the grass and bush line of the water. So that got me to, by mixing those colors together, I got the color that I wanted. So I'm going to keep dabbing it, but I'm going to make it closer together, unlike the tree part that I did up above, because I want that to be more of a solid green color. And then I'm going to take some more of just the straight Hooker's green with a little bit of water, and I'm going to dab up above that. So now I'm starting to put in the Hooker's green, just regular for that tone, because I want it to be green, a darker green right above the light green. And then I'm going to kind of dot it around the trees. And you're going to see me go back and forth with different colors, because you just want it all to be different tones. And I'll just keep mixing. So I made that color just the same now, but I didn't add yellow. I did add a little bit of burnt sienna to it, so that's making a different tone of green. And so now I'm starting to do some of the lighter colors and highlighting. You just kind of want it to look like a luscious green growth of trees and bushes and stuff. So I put in a little bit lighter because my highlights weren't coming in like I wanted them to. So I put in some lighter green, and now I'm doing like a Hooker's green glaze over the top of it, just to make it look more like it was highlighted. So you can kind of see it starting to come together now. And I'm taking, I just put out raw sienna on my paper, and I'm adding a little bit of gesso to it. And now I'm going to be working on some tree branches and just putting it, bringing the trees down where you can it actually looks like trees and not just a whole bunch of bushes. I'm not gonna go crazy wacky with the tree branches and the tree barks and stuff like that, but I do want to put a little bit in here and there. I'm sorry, I can't seem to get my words going tonight. I guess I'm tired. I did paint this today, so I wanted to get it out real quick. So I'm doing just a bunch of little stalks. Just here and there, just random, so it just looks like trees. This was actually kind of fun, and I enjoyed having it framed like that. I've never tried one like that before, and I wanted to give it a shot and see if I could do it. And I went really small. If y'all have paid attention much to the size of my other rocks, they're usually big Santorinis. So, but I wanted to go smaller and see if I could do it, and so I was pretty happy with how it came out. So, I've been letting that gesso dry on the Lighthouse really well before I went to it. So now I'm taking some of that raw sienna and white, and I'm making kind of a dingy white, because I don't want a bright white on the Lighthouse. Since it is darker, I wanted to make sure that it has kind of like that dusky white color. And if you do bright white, it wouldn't really go along with what I put in the sky. Now I'm taking that same color and I'm using my scruffy brush again, and I'm making the reflection in the water from the top of the lighthouse. And I started out with that color, and now I'm using burnt sienna that's watered down. And because I'm just adding some different tones to start getting that reflection going. Now I'm putting another coat of that white I mixed up. And this is the best thing to do when you're painting, is to do one part and then let it dry and go do another part. So now I put in the yellow. And a little bit of white, and it got a little too white for me right at first, so you're gonna see me go back and try to take that down just a little bit. I'm gonna go in and add some more yellow and add some more brown around the edges. And really the thing is just have some fun with this. You know, it's relaxing and so good for just your body and soul, because you're just chilling and painting and just really, you know, taking it easy. And I love to paint. Ever since I found painting 3 years ago, I have just been enthralled, and after a good painting session you just feel so good. So I went ahead and drew a black line at the top of the White House and below it, basically on top and below where the light's going to be. And I'm filling the whole section up where the light is going to be with burnt sienna. And now I'm taking a mixture of scarlet and apple red. And that's going to be the red that's on the lighthouse. So I'm going to paint my little stripes then. And of course, I put too much red and not enough white, so you'll see me go back and add a little more white in here in a minute. This is for a Facebook group Santorini Stones by Shelley. We do what we call a plane ride every other month, and this month we're visiting different places for the end of summer. And so the second week, I can't remember the name. It's like, I don't even want to slaughter the name, but we're visiting a beach, and it's a lighthouse on one side and horses on the other side. And so I chose the lighthouse. So now I'm lightening up. I'm doing the same thing I did like the water. I'm doing a little bit of the burnt sienna lightened up, and then I'm adding some yellow and making that light up there in the top, and then I'll add a little white too. So this is where I'm making the white lines just a little bit bigger. Now I'm using a Tule art pen, and I'm just trying to put in some edges. I don't want a real thick line, but I felt like it needed to be edged up just a little bit. And I'm kind of giving shape to the top part also. So yeah, this is our second week in our plane ride, and we have 2 more weeks to go, and at the end of the 4 weeks we do a giveaway. And if you have all 4 rocks done by the end of the month, and you did them all in a timely manner, you will be entered in the giveaway. So it's super fun. We totally enjoy finding the different things to paint and going on these trips, and I hope y'all like and subscribe and go join the group. Again, it's Santorini Stones by Shelley, and come have some fun with us. So now I'm drawing in the little black walkway thing that's at the top of the lighthouse, and then there's another little tiny one on the light, and so I'm doing that with my Tule art pen. Now the light I'm going to do with a real fine brush, because my paint wasn't completely dry yet to where I could write on it with the Tule art, but I wanted to go ahead and finish that part, so that's what I'll end up going in and using. So now I'm going to have to fix a little part around the light where I made the lighthouse at the top a little bit too big, so I'm going in and fixing that real quick. And then, because it's hard to remix your color and get the perfect color, I'm just pulling it through, which is fine, because then it just makes the sky look even that much better because of the different tonal differences. Doing a little more work with my Tule pen. Now I'm fine just touching up little fine areas with my little brush. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of white. I think I got that line with the Tule pen a little too thick, so I'm going in and fixing that. Now I'm adding white to the light at the top. Now I took some Createx airbrush paint, and I love using this for really, really fine work. So for that part at the top where the light is, I really needed some fine work, and it's super thin and opaque. So, and it works great for birds, which is what I started doing here. And you're gonna see I mess up with this first bird and it starts looking like a bat. So I'm gonna end up taking it off here in a minute and redoing it. I was trying to do one bigger bird kind of up close and then some birds far away, and that one bird I just wasn't happy with, so I ended up covering it up and starting over. So yeah, sometimes you're just not happy with something you paint and just gotta cover it up and do it again. But there's nothing wrong with that, you know. It happens. So I'm drawing the birds in again. And I'm still struggling with it, as you can tell. But eventually I'm going to get it to a point where I'm happy with it, I promise. I hope y'all have enjoyed watching me paint, and I hope that y'all give this a try. It is a lot of fun, and it's just so much fun making the colors and getting the colors you want, and I hope y'all give it a try for sure. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I will be happy to answer them. So here I'm going back and correcting a little bit on that bird, trying to fix my errors. And I'm going to keep adding a couple more here and there just to have some really far away. So this is a postila pen. I think it's like a Posca, I don't know. But it's in silver. And so I'm just going to line this out with the silver. At first I was thinking about doing some dots, but then I decided not to because I liked the way the silver just framed it out and made it look good. So I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye-bye.